Good morning. Good morning. Sorry for the slight delay. I actually got locked out of my screen. I couldn't figure it out. Hold on. Somebody wants to say hello. Of course, she's fussing. Here she is. All right. Bella says hello. Good morning. Cindy King is in the background. She is watching, listening, and sewing on flags. She's got herself a post bed machine that she's going crazy with today. Barb, good morning. Barb says she's got a blustery, snowy day outside. Snow should stop this afternoon. Great day to hang out in the craft room. Oh, she's gonna work with her Viking Ruby tomorrow. That sounds awesome. What else have we got? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Woody. Good morning. So, what are we going to do today? We are going to do some digitizing. But here, I need some audience participation. So, hold on. I am so sorry. So, thank you. Um, so I need some audience participation. What do you want to see on the screen? Yep, I got a couple of things I want to show you, but I want to I want to help you find or help you figure out how to do a specific technique that you've been fussing with, trying to do, and maybe need just a little guidance. And that is Carly. She's on the desk. She's wanting to get this little drop of sunshine that's on my desk. Oh my goodness, this has been a crazy week. Hold on, I need to move the cat. She wants the sun. Oh, all right. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, and good morning, Jesse. I'm sorry I got animal issues this morning. I gotta rearrange my desk somehow to keep the animals off. Oh gosh. All right. Oh, good morning. Good morning. I hate my hair. Oh, it just gets in the way. Okay. So, like I said, hello, Frank. Frank's here too. Oh my goodness, what a day. What a day. So, again, audience participation. Tell me what you want to see. How about doing special textures on designs? This is something that Cindy had asked about earlier, and I'm sure it is something she's still working with. All right. So we're going to start. We're going to start with, I don't know, just a simple filled box. Gusto, we can talk about puff. Um, we can talk about puff. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Anybody want a cat? I love her dearly, but she steps on the keys. What did you do, kitty? All right. Sometimes you just gotta start over. Okay. So, Gusta, don't let me forget to talk to you about fonts. And we're going to make a new box because Kitty did something to the other box, and this is just easier to make a new box than it is to try to fix the box that she stepped on. Okay. So we have a field of flatness here. Field of flatness. You know, tatami stitch is a good fill stitch, but sometimes, sometimes it's just too flat. No texture, no eye candy. Okay, different people have different definitions of eye candy. For me, it's the look on the design file. All right, so how do we do this? Well, in Wilcom, they have a dozen different textures. One of my favorites is the brick. Go through and experiment. Um, Here's a chevron. Come along, chevron. Suppose it means I think the chevron would give me kind of dizzy heads. So, anyways, let's go back to that brick. One of the things that I want you to be aware of, if you're using a pattern, you can change that pattern. Some softwares do not have the capability of change, which is fine, but they have a really big selection. So find one that you like and work with that. Um, but I want you to experiment. Okay, I know. It's the holiday season. Who's got time for that? All right. Make a bit of time. You're not sitting at your machines 24/7. I'm sure at some point you're going to sit back and just kind of cruise on the internet or on the computer. Give yourself 15 minutes and just, play. So here we have this brick pattern, and over here we have a bunch of functions that we can do. We can change our bricks, which changes our pattern. We can change our angle, which changes our pattern. We can change our spacing, which changes our pattern. Now, granted, this is not one of my favorites. I think there's too much space between the rows. Good morning, machine. Good morning. Oh, but play with it. Here's another chevron type pattern. Kind of like this one better. But again, change your settings. Experiment. And I'm a big one about testing. If you find something you like, take it to the machine and make sure it stitches. What you see on the screen is not necessarily what you're going to get at the machine. So, if you have a pattern that you like, take it to the machine, test it, make notes on that test piece, and save it. This is going to sound crazy, but I have a binder with those sheet protectors. You can buy them by the hundred. And inside the sheet protector is uh, a stitch out, the fabric. I don't bother with cutting away the stabilizer on the back, but I'll write notes on the fabric, or I'll take a sheet of paper and write notes on that, and I will, do a screenshot and print out or jot down in the notes the settings I used to get that pattern because I liked it. And it's not a default pattern. So, you got to test it, make sure it's going to stitch the way you want, make some notes, and put it aside. So when you're looking, once down the road, you're thinking, oh, that pattern would be perfect for this. Well, what were the settings? Go back to your binder and look for it. And there you have it. All right. So, patterns. Cindy, does that help you with patterns? Cindy's talking about her post bed machine. She's getting the hang of sewing on it. She doesn't like that you have to hold both threads to start. Cindy, that's just old sewing technique from, grandma's sewing machine. We all had to pull up the bobbin thread and the top thread and hold it while it made those first few stitches. Um, Anyways, going back, pattern, I had a few issues on curves. Not quite sure I understand. If you can be a little more detailed about patterns on curves. Hey, Scott, good to see you. Okay, we can come back to patterns. I'm going to open another screen and we're going to talk to Gusa about um, fonts for Puff. I have specific parameters that I like to use when I'm doing lettering for Puff. Here, we're going to start by putting a word up here. Suppose it helped if I were on the right screen. Okay. Now, for the most part, people use puff embroidery on hats. Um, I need to go back to Cindy here in just a few minutes. Don't let me forget, Cindy. Okay, so I have some parameters that I like to use for um, for puff embroidery. And again, primarily it's from hats. So for the first things first, we always need to know that it's going to go center out. So in my world, it would be FFUP. We all know that. What we don't all take into consideration is that not all lettering is good for puff embroidery. I'm going to enlarge this. Then I'm going to, and I like to measure in metric. Gusta, that's probably, first nature to you, second nature to you. We over here on this side of the world, we're about the only ones that use this imperial measuring thing that doesn't always come out equal, but I like the metric for measuring my columns. So I want to measure this column. This column is 5 millimeters. So sorry. This column is 5 millimeters. For me, that is the absolute minimum. Yes, you can go down to 3 millimeters. But at some point, no matter what type of foam you're using, the column is going to get so narrow that it's just not going to give you a puff effect, which is the whole reason you're going to all this trouble in the first place. You want to make the lettering stand out. And here comes the cat again. You want to make the lettering stand out or stand up. Um, so yes, a 5 millimeter puff will work. You're not going to get the loft you want. Um, Personally, I like to go for the bigger, bolder letters. Carly, you got to get off of the things. No, no, don't do it. Okay, so let's go back to the sizing thing. Want to show you, oh, here's a good one. This particular lettering, not suitable for puff. Look at the size of this. Not going to work. Bolder letters. Goes to bold letters. Bold, strong letters. This one would work. I'm going to pull in a file here, people. One moment. This is my hat template. This is a template I created that tells me how much space I have in the front of a hat. Shows me the center line, which can also be the seam, which is why this box is here, because that's the seam area. Left of center, this is an area for left of center, which can go just a little bit further out. But anyways, this is my template. So if we're going to put this word on a hat, we're going to be able to enlarge it. Enlarge it. There we go. And with puff, we know that we can go wider so that we don't have a split. And let's measure this now. This column is almost 7.5 millimeters. This would make a better puff. Now, if we take our letter, oops, I'm going to take out the other letters. We can obviously make this P much larger. And this P now has a column that measures 12.36 millimeters. So it's just a little bit too large. Our machine has limitations on how far it'll stretch a satin stitch. But this would make a decent puff. Put in your column, put in your end caps, increase your density. So Gusta, the point is, when you're looking at puff embroidery, when you're looking at lettering for puff embroidery, take it into your system, take it into your software, make it the size that you want it to be, your finished product, and do some measuring. 3 millimeters will work. You won't get any decent loft. 5 millimeters is a better minimum. Up to 11.8, 11.9, somewhere just under 12, and you will have a good puff. All right, let's see here. Oh, what is Barb saying here? Oops. Barb's liking the DE version of Wilcom. This week she was sending her dongle back. You're welcome, Gusta. There are a couple of things, Barb, with the DE version that I'm not happy with. I'm having to retrain my brain. No, I've been using Wilcom for several years now, and you get used to the way things are, and I'm feeling like I have to flip a little bit. All right. Okay. So the example I had was with the heart, getting the pattern not to disappear. A lot of what you see in patterns, we're going back to patterns here for Cindy. A lot of what you see in patterns, come along, little doggy, come along. Okay. We're just gonna make another box. Cindy, this box is for you. Okay. So I know we're working with strictly a box here, but in fact, here, I'm sorry. Let's just do this. You're right, a curve. Let's just do a curve. How hard is it to make a curve? Look, it's a curve. Okay, we're going to add a pattern. There we are. Now, if you look at the pattern, what you see here is that the pattern is going totally vertical. And it goes vertical all the way across the curve. That's the stitch angle. You have, with your pattern, you have one stitch angle, and this is vertical. Now, if you take that pattern and change your stitch angles, it changes the pattern. Remember when we were fussing with all these settings and we could change the angle? Well, now our angle is going around our curve. And once we get to, as we're going around that curve, it's changing our pattern. Does that make sense, Cindy? So if you're using a pattern within your software, it is going to change as it goes across that curve if you're using stitch angles. While we're here, let's try something. What if we made this a radial fill? Yep, same thing. It changes the pattern. Yes, Cindy, you're right. And here's Cindy is saying that it's going to be a trial and error to get the pattern where you want it on a curve. One of the things I'm wondering, if you break it up into sections, don't forget to overlap. If you take and cut this into sections, if we change the angle here, no, it won't let us change the angle. Let me fuss with the sun this week, Cindy, and I'll try to figure something out for you. Okay, so like I said, this is audience participation week. What else do we have out here? I'm going to scroll back and see if anybody else had a question about digitizing, about a specific technique or a how-to. How do you do? With a few curves on the patterns. Watch your needle. All right. I agree, Cindy. Again, this, oops, where'd we go? It's flat, flat, flat. It has no dimension, has no visual effect. It doesn't make the eye dance, not a happy eye. So yes, patterns are the way to go. She wants to see out the window. Oh my goodness. All right. Yes, Cindy, you're right. That is absolutely correct. Where'd my mouse go? There it is. Cindy says it would like, oh, hang on, I missed that one. Make regular flat designs come to life. Yes, they do. What does Barb have here? I would like to learn the fancy borders around, for example, a patch. I like an overlapping scale effect. Wow, Barb, that sounds like a motif to me. Yeah, let's open up another window. Do, do, do. Patches are usually circles. Let's go with a circle. I like that stitch angle better. There. We'll even give it a pattern. Okay. So I am going to take this and I'm working one-handed here. Gosh, what a day this is. I'm going to put just a simple run stitch around it on my edge. Can you see that? Maybe I should make it a different color. All right, still hard to see. Cindy, again, I'm just reading out loud here. Cindy saying that she would like to learn how to do a border around a patch that will give her the effect she wants without having to buy specialized software. So we're going to put a motif on this. And motifs are way over here. And that's the first motif. That's the default motif. Let me enlarge this for you. Oops, that's too much. There we are. So we all know that this is going to go around. So we're going to go into the motifs. And because we want to replicate the standard patch border without having to buy a patch border, we're going to first look at our default pieces here, our system pieces, and see if we can't find something. And you know, who says it actually has to look like, let's try this one. Okay, they call it arrow. It's a chain stitch. What happens if we take our settings and we change our spacing to 2? See if it'll let us turn it around. Variable sizes, keep the first, generate. Yeah, that one's not going to do what we want it to do. Let's see, what else have we got in here? Two-part row. This is my own motif. I made this motif. That's a nice looking motif. Thank you. I do a very good rope. I know. It's my claim to fame. I do a rope. All right. Do, do, do. Tiny stars. Fan. Don't want a marrow because we want to do this without a marrow. Thank you, Cindy. Cindy says I do a very nice rope. All right. What are we looking for? We're looking for a motif that will allow us to create a border. Oh, Barb, yes. Um, this is down the motif rabbit hole, but this is how you could create different stitches for an in the hook crazy quilt, crazy patch quilting. For those of you who might not be familiar, crazy patch quilting uses um, fabric scraps that are odd shapes. You want to keep them a little bit larger, about 3-4 inches or larger. Um, but what it does is you lay the quilt out, you lay the piece, and you stitch it to the next piece of fabric using a pattern stitch. Not just a straight stitch, but a pattern stitch. And with the motifs, whoops, you can use any of the hundreds of stitches in your motifs. So, and that's how you would create your border stitch for your patches. Find a motif that you like. The only other thing I would suggest putting in there is to put an offset circle to run a straight stitch around it. So I would take my circle and go to create an offset, and I would put a minus. That's not a minus. That's not a minus either. I think I need new glasses. Oh, that's a few, too many. And then do a straight stitch or another stitch on top just to put another layer of stitching to secure your edge to your patch. All right, let's see. There we go. Okay, I think we're running a little over. Do we want to do this again next week? There's a lot of you here. Um, Machine, to answer your question, patterns. This is exactly what we were talking about. Uh, want to know what to do with that big blank space in a tatami? Well, put a pattern in it. Now, it doesn't have to be a fancy pattern, doesn't have to be a big, bold pattern, but put a pattern in it. And that's what we'll do. And yes, all right, people, that's exactly what we'll do. We'll do question and answers part 2. Come next week with your questions. And this is actually working out well because this is this is a very, very busy season for all of us. Um, doesn't require a lot of mind thought. It's something that I'm already comfortable with, working with the software. So yeah, we'll do this again next week. In the meantime, you all have a great weekend. Have a great week. Pop up any questions you might have in the meantime, and I'll be here.
Wasn't that fun? Do you have more questions? Do you want to learn something new? Join me at quicktostitch.com for coffee and conversation, and we'll talk about it. Embroidery machines, designs, and business. Hope to see you soon. Bye now.